Hey, everybody out there. Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land and online. If you're online, joining us online, you are listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. So please hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing, and help me get these messages out there and so we can have the important conversations together. And if you're watching or listening, hit the emoji icon for the American flag, drop some American flags in the comments, or drop some other comments. Just say, hey, I'm listening, I'm watching, I appreciate what you're doing, whatever. It all helps the algorithm share it out to more people so that we can have more of those important conversations that we have here with more people and get more people talking. That's what we need to do now more than ever. So hit that thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe, share on your page, your friend's page, your family's page, everybody else's page, and get it out there. So let's jump into it. Today is the day after Easter, right? You know, technically, I suppose next Sunday or this coming up Sunday is also Easter. But Easter is a time of remembrance where we remember that the Lord Jesus died for our sins, okay? He gave himself willingly to death, overcame death, and rose again on the third day to give us the opportunity to have everlasting life with the Lord our Father in heaven. Now, this is a very, very serious holiday. It's probably, if not one of the most important holidays in all of Christianity. And it's not really talked about very often. Many times it's conflated with things like the Easter Bunny or chocolates and eggs and stuff like that, because, you know, it's also springtime. It's around the equinox and stuff like that. And all of these pagan traditions have been pushed into our society to push us more and more away from Christ. And we can talk about this extended and on length because we see the deterioration of our civilization on scale across America, and I'd say even across the Western world. As we turn away from God, we see more and more issues in our society every single day. Because if the foundation isn't built on the rock, which is Jesus Christ and his teachings, then it's built on shifting sands, and it just kind of swishes away. And that's where we are right now as a society. The morals are shifting. They shift left, they shift right, they shift up, they shift down, whichever way the wind blows, because there's nothing solid left anymore. I'm very glad that we're starting to see a resurgence of Christianity in the United States of America right now, but we need more of that. We've got all of these people that are pushing this concept that, oh, well, America isn't a Christian nation. It's never been. It's this, it's that, it's the third. Nobody's trying to hear that. I'm not trying to listen to anything that you say when it comes to that, because you are the same people that tell me that Israel is a Jewish nation when it's not. They're a secular nation. So if Israel can be Jewish, then how come America can't be Christian? Make it make sense. You put these framings on things and they don't pan out because you don't hold them steady and firm. Our country, our illustrious history is based in Christianity. All of our founding fathers, okay, Christians, okay, almost every single signer of the Declaration of Independence and of the Constitution, Christians. I think it was everybody except for one on the Constitution. So this is very, very important. Our country is steeped in Christianity. And now we've got the people trying to extract Christianity and erase our heritage as a nation. You'll say, well, Marcus, I don't see much of this erasure. Don't you, though? Don't you? How old are you? How long have you been living, you know? Because I can tell you within my lifetime, even though it's been rather short, we could say within the last 20 years, so much has changed. So much has changed. You know, you look 20 years ago will be 2006, right? So 2006, you never would have seen all of this push for child genital mutilation and stuff on the television and all of this crazy nonsense. It would be unfathomable. Nobody had ever thought of that, you know, but this is where we are. You'd never think that they'd have all of these criminals running the streets to just get in, go to jail, get out, get caught. The crimes aren't even being charged and all of this other crazy stuff. Well, why is this happening? Because, again, we've stepped away from Christ as a nation. And because of that, we have no real moral system. And we've left everybody up to their own whims. Everybody believes their own things and has their own values and sets their own morals. That's ridiculous garbage. And we need to make sure that people understand that. It's serious, because when we don't have a set of morals and values that are actually tied to anything, our society and our civilization shifts. It shifts. And right now we're at a point where if you try to say, hey, well, the traditional morals that we've had as a nation are based in Christianity, people will try to shut you down and shut you up. And that's a very serious problem. We see people in Canada right now, they just passed this ridiculous law. It's called the C9 law, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. But the C9 law, where essentially they are saying that things in the Bible are hateful. This is crazy. They're saying that you will be arrested and you will be charged if you preach the gospel or if you say stuff in alignment with Christian values. What type of insanity is that? What is going on? This is what's happening right here. Canada's our neighbor to the north. The fun and fuzzy people that everybody has always told you about. This is very, very, very serious. Why? Why is this allowed to go on? Because Christians are not standing up. We have been pushed out of politics and out of positions and institutions and stuff like that because we've allowed it to happen. It didn't happen by mistake, okay? It didn't happen by accident. It was all intentional and purposeful to push all of this devilry into our society. Debauchery, depravity, alphabetism, transgenderism, socialism, Marxism, feminism, communism, all the other isms have continued to be pushed into our society. But in order for those things to be driven into society, climatism, we have to get rid of God in our society. So this continued attack that we see on Christians is eroding the Western society completely. And this C9 bill that's in Canada right now is just letting you know what's about to happen in the United States of America if we don't wake up. And we've got to wake up now, because if we as Christians don't stand up, we won't ever have a chance to stand up later. Now is the time to stand up. Now is the time to speak up. We look at what happened during Holy Week, right? What happened during Holy Week, Marcus? Well, during Holy Week, we had Jaden Ivey, a player on the basketball team for the Bulls, Chicago Bulls. And he was kicked off the team because he was talking about the Bible. And he said that he did not want to participate in any of the pride events or anything like that. Now, he didn't say anything hateful. He didn't say anything mean. He didn't say anything that's negative or anything like that. He just said he didn't think that was appropriate for them to be doing and that it was against God, as it is. And they let him go and they said, oh, well, he's bad for the team saying stuff like that. Because Jaden Ivey decided that he was going to stand on business and stand for Christ and actually speak up. The Bulls cut him. That's ridiculous. But this is what happens. And in Holy Week, during Holy Week, right? Like that was what, Good Friday? Like this was crazy. But this is what's happening to Christians. We are under attack all across the world right now, but nowhere like we have ever seen in the Western nations. Okay? We can call them the weird nations, westernized, rich, industrial, educated, democratic nations. The weird nations, that's what's going on right here, where we are right now. That happened in the United States. So that's not even Canada with that ridiculous law. Then we can talk about what's going on in England right now, where they continually arrest Christians for even praying, or you can't pray outside, okay, but the Muslims can. Please make that make sense. You can't preach the gospel because you might hurt somebody's feelings, so they're going to send you to jail. Please make it make sense, okay? And if you say something online that somebody says, oh, they don't like that or that hurt their feelings, they'll put you in jail for a simple social media post. Or worse than that, they'll put you in jail for sharing a social media post. They'll send the police to your house, and then they'll put you in jail in the UK right now. This is what's going on. And there are similar laws on the dockets that are coming up. Some have been passed in other places like New Zealand as well as Australia. And we really need to have these important conversations because they're not getting out there. And people aren't talking about these very serious issues. So hit the like button. It doesn't cost you nothing. Hit the heart button, okay? Drop some comments in the comments. Be part of the conversation, and I'll do my best to pop your conversation up on the screen, okay? But these are very important issues for us to talk about because Christianity is the foundation of the United States of America, and as it continues to be under attack, that means the United States of America is under attack. Our history, our heritage, and our culture. And we're about to get right into that in a couple seconds here. Now, what we see going on across the world is just abominable, right? It's terrible. Drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. We see things going on in different countries, like in Nigeria, right? On Easter Sunday, on Palm Sunday, both Sundays. Please let me be very clear. On Palm Sunday and on Easter Sunday in Nigeria, they were massacring Christians. Can we talk about that, though? Did you see one news report about that? Hundreds of Christians murdered in vicious, wild ways. Have we heard anything about that? No, not even a little bit. Okay, we've had multiple churches in the last week in the United States of America set on fire or vandalized. Can we talk about that? No. Has it made the news? Not really. Go and don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you, because I'm going out of my way to tell you, and I encourage you to go look it up. This stuff is extremely serious. And if we aren't to stand up and push back against this evil, demonic nonsense that's going on, nothing's going to change. Okay? Nothing is going to change. Multiple churches have been set on fire during Holy Week in the United States of America. You haven't heard one person get on the TV and call it what it is, a hate crime. Because they attack Christians all the time. Do you ever hear them call it a hate crime? No. If somebody does something against a Muslim or does something against a Jew or does something against a Hindu, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. But if it happens to Christians at church or Christian churches, houses of worship, nobody has anything to say. Oh, it wasn't nice. No, it was a hate crime. When they shoot up all of the Christian schools, because this has happened. We've had about 7 or 8 Christian schools in the United States of America in the last 12 months shot up, attacked, largely by these people that don't know whether they're a man or a woman or a boy or a girl, okay, call themselves transgender. They're really confused, okay, and they're mad at the world because they're confused, and most of them are on antidepressants and psychotics and all types of other crazy drugs that they've been put on by all these different doctors and hormones and all types of stuff. And then they snap or are manipulated into going to shoot up all of these Christian venues and schools. They just had a Christian gathering shot up last weekend. Was it last weekend here? Yeah, last weekend. The weekend, well, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. Okay, not here, but in the United States. I believe it was Florida. You know, and this is stuff that we can't even talk about. But why can't we talk about this? Because now is the open season on Christians. The FBI has reported that there have been more attacks on Christians in the last 10 years than there have been in the time that they've been recording these type of activities. That's serious. That's serious. And they've said they've only continued to escalate more and more, growing greater and greater every single year. Can we have a conversation about that? No. And let's talk about what else has happened over Holy Week, right? We've got Israel, which is a secular government. Let me be very clear to put that out there. Israel is a secular government, you guys. Okay? Israel is a nation state. Israel is not the people of the Bible that were called Israel, that were the sons of Jacob. That is not them. Israel is a modern nation state, okay, that only goes back to the 40s. This is something that we need to have a conversation about, because they are a secular nation that promotes alphabetism, transgenderism, okay, all of these other nonsensical things that go directly against the Old Testament. But we can't talk about that, right? Because people want to say, oh, well, they're Jewish. No, they're a secular nation. But it's okay if you associate them with modern Talmudic Judaism. That's okay. That's your prerogative. That's not necessarily a representation of all the Jews in the world, or even most of the ones in the nation. It's a fun fact. The capital of Israel, Tel Aviv, right? So in Tel Aviv, 40% of the people in Tel Aviv, okay, report that they are secular, okay, that they are not part of any religion, that they might even be ethnically so-called Jewish, but they are not actually practicing. So explain it to me. These are the numbers in this nation that's considered to be the Jewish people, even though we know that it is not, and it is not a good representation of the Jewish people on scale as a whole, you know, because all Jews aren't Talmudic Jews. That's a very, very serious conversation that we'll leave for another time, because I want to get back to the fact that these are a secular people in this country, in that country, for instance, okay, in Israel. Israel's a secular nation. So guess what this secular nation does, right? Because anybody that does not believe in the divinity of Christ is the enemy of Christ. That's specifically it. So for months and months and months, Israel has been going after Christians in Israel, going after Christians outside of Israel, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Gaza, and in the West Bank, right? But we don't hear or talk much about that, so nobody really knows what's going on. And people might say, oh, well, yeah, that's Hamas stuff or whatever the case is. Man, please listen. If you do not believe in the divinity of Christ, I could care less about you or anything that you got going on. Very, very truthful and outright. That's how I really feel. Okay. Christians have no friends. We have no allies. Okay. As a nation, as a country, our ally might be Israel. Okay. But as far as us being Christians, they are no friend to the Christian people. They've continued to divide up the Christian lands and steal lands away from the church in Israel. Go look it up. Go look it up. The what do you call him? The Cardinal of Jerusalem and a couple of the other ones there, including Bethlehem and stuff like that, and a number of other places there, have been writing letters and putting out different things about what Israel is doing as they continue their attack on the Christian church there. Okay? They have shut down so many different services and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. But one most important thing that has happened is they've been stealing the Christian lands. They've been stealing the lands from the church. And that is a serious problem. And you don't see that covered anywhere in the news. And like I say all the time, don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you, go look it up. Go look it up. Because if you don't look into it deeply, you're never going to see it on the news or in any other types of conversations. So nobody wants to talk about that. Because if you talk about Israel, oh, well, you're a bad person. I don't care nothing about no nation state Israel. Same way I don't care nothing about no nation state France or no nation state Guatemala or no nation state Indonesia. You understand what I'm saying? Like, none of those places got nothing to do with me. Okay? These are serious issues. We can talk about our country all day and point out things that we don't like about our country all day. But the second that you say something that Israel is actually doing to Christians, then you're a bad person. You make it make sense to me. Okay? This is something that people don't want to talk about. Hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Okay? And drop some comments in the comments. Be part of the conversation. Now, as we continue to have this conversation about Israel, let's move into the interests of the United States and what we've got going on with Iran. In Iran, we've been having some serious issues in this conflict with Iran, but nobody really wants to dig deep into what's going on there. And we've talked about it on the show, so I'm not going to delve into it too crazy deep. But I would like to point out that Israel keeps trying to blow up all of the people that we're trying to have meetings with, that we're trying to set up situations with, so that we can actually restore some stability to Iran. Like, why are they doing that? Like, do they not want this thing to stop? Do they not want this thing to end? Who benefits from them killing all of these people that we're trying to have negotiations with? Oh, yeah, the nation state of Israel, not the United States of America. Because if the United States of America is talking to these people very well and clear, then we want some conversation with them to see about shoring up what's going on over there. And since Israel has set in their mind to blow up everybody that we're having any conversation with, we're still over there. We still got this continuing. So when people are like, oh, well, Trump drew this out, Trump did this, Trump did that. No, it's our ally that is doing this, that has set this whole situation up. I doubt that Trump wants to be over there anymore, any longer. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that now we need to find some sort of contingency for government over there, continuity for government over there, which is not available at this time. You know, also something interesting that came up recently is that last month, when they were trying to have all of the little protests and stuff like that, we tried to send some weapons into Iran to help the protesters through the Kurds, which we have a sordid history with the Kurds, right? Like, they don't really like us. We don't really like them. We allegedly are allies with them and support them, but we don't really, and we leave them behind when they're no longer convenient for us. I don't really like that. I think that's problematic on many levels, okay? But the enemy of our enemy is our friend, allegedly. I don't know that I always go for that. So, but they were trying to use them to push weapons into the hands of citizens over there, and apparently almost all of those weapons trades got stopped. Okay, now it isn't clear yet who stopped those weapons trades, whether it was the Kurds themselves who kept all the weapons and sold them off to other people, or whether it was the Iranian government. But it's definitely something that is very important to talk about. Drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. Over the weekend, we had some pilots go down in Iran, which was sad, you know, because whenever you lose some aircraft, that's kind of trash. We're not very happy about that. We also lost the A-10, which is one of my favorite planes, you know, not my favorite plane. My favorite plane is the SR-71 Blackbird. I don't care what anybody says. This is the best plane ever. Okay. I do like other planes, not to hold them down, but, you know, that's my favorite. But yeah, I like the Warthogs too. And one of the Warthogs was shot down. Now, a Warthog flies really low to the ground and really fast. And it goes, you know, it's got a lot of weapon systems on it and a giant Gatling gun. Who can be mad at that, right? So it's for very direct engagements where we already have air superiority. So it's kind of interesting that we haven't had more things shot down or destroyed in Iran throughout this whole situation. We've been really putting the bangs to them, and we've been doing rather well. So this is kind of very interesting, you know? People are like, oh, well, this is happening, that is happening. We got very low loss, very limited casualties, you know? We had some starting off in the first days where Iran had a whole bunch of missiles that they were firing all across the universe. Okay. That did cause a lot of injuries. I think that we're up to like 300 people have been injured and a couple of people have died. I think we're at 3, maybe 4 now. Okay. But not very many, less than 10. We're still in less than 10 casualties of war by death in this whole Iranian conflict. So we're putting up pretty good numbers. And we've destroyed and dismantled most of their military and everything that they've got and stuff like that. And I guess the concept is that we should keep some of what they have still around so that they could still be a little bit stable as a nation state if we are to get more people in there. But at this point, with the way that they flap their gums and talk out their mouth, it's kind of become a requirement that we blast them all to smithereens, and I'm not saying that I really think that we should be over there like that, which is a whole separate conversation, which we've covered on other shows. But the fact is that we're there now and we have to deal with the situation as it is on the ground. Okay. You can't just pull out and then think that, oh, everything's going to be fine. No, you have to completely decimate it, and that's something that's very true. I think that what's happened since World War II, America has become really soft, and most of the American citizens have become so self-fulfilled and just so comfortable that they decided that whatever they believe is altruistic or virtuism or whatever, again, not based in the Bible, right? All of that type of stuff is what's best. And that's how everybody in the world thinks or believes. That's not how the rest of the world thinks and believes. The rest of the world believes in strength. The rest of the world believes in violence. Okay? So when you say, oh, well, we should be huggy and kissy with everybody, that's not realistic. That's not how humans are. Like, humans are vicious, violent, okay, individuals. And you'll say, oh, well, Marcus, that's not true. You don't live in other places. You don't know that. Okay? Because what is the history of humanity and what is the history of war, right? It was 4 people on the planet and then somebody murdered the other one, And that was when there was only 4 of us. Like, can we have these real conversations? People will say, oh, well, we don't need wars and this and that and the third. You don't know people. You do not know human beings. Okay? Because somebody always wants something that somebody else has. Somebody always wants to protect their own personal interest. Somebody is always looking to dominate somebody else. Like, that is the history of humanity. And if we're going to just pretend like that's not a real thing, then we do a disservice to making any type of plans or assessments of any type of actions, either politically, socially, and definitely militarily. So we're at the top of the hour. So now we do this little announcement thing. It says, thank you for tuning in to The Divide on WRFZ LP Rochester Free Radio. You are listening to us in your ear. We are here, and this is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. If you would like to donate to the show, if you'd like to donate to the station, please go to the Patreon, and it's Patreon Rochester Free Radio. Please support the station. The station's working on raising about $6,000. We are supported by viewers and listeners like you, so please do that. If you're online and you'd like to support the show ourselves, check us out on the sides over there or down below, depending on which spectrum you're on. We love being on this show and having these important conversations with you, because where else will we have these conversations, right? The public sphere is getting more and more and more hostile to free speech. People don't want to hear you. If you disagree with them, you should see the comments. I know a lot of you can't see all of the comments, depending on what platform you're on. But people say ridiculous stuff online here a lot. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're a retard, or something's wrong with you. Like, your brain doesn't work so much, because people get so caught up in themselves that they know so much that isn't so. And they are so self-righteous that they are the only people that can be right. And perish the thought that more than one thing is right at the same time, because that would be just too much like right. And that's where we are right now. You see the issues on campuses, and you can't say this, you can't say that. We even had a bill last year that passed in the House of Representatives. It didn't clear the Senate, but it said that if you say that Jesus Christ was killed by the Jews, that you'll be charged with anti-Semitism. This is a real bill. Go look it up. Don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. Go look it up. And it passed in the House of Representatives. How can that pass? And we're a nation founded on Christian principles. Okay? And don't bring none of that Judeo-Christian nonsense, trash, garbage to me, because whenever you put a prefix before Christian, you get rid of the Christianity of it all. Okay? There's no such thing as Judeo-Christian. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Okay? This is a problem. This is a real serious problem. As the attacks on the foundations of our nation continue, less and less people are willing to stand up and speak up. And I bring this up very intentfully because let's take 2 seconds and let's take a look at what else is going on right now, right? So we've got the Epstein files. Let's talk about those for 2 seconds. The Epstein files showed us that people were out here eating babies and drinking their blood, like real life cannibal vampires. Like, that's right there. And we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that at all. I know people get stuck on, well, they're pedophiles and this and that. Hello, eating babies? Like, I'm not going to say that one thing is worse than the other, but if you're cannibalizing children, like, I think that that's just at least one step ahead of that. And drinking blood. So now these are the conversations that don't get had. And people say, oh, well, it's because Trump is a pedophile, that he's protecting the pedophiles and this and that and the third and da. First of all, there's nothing there that shows that Trump is a pedophile. Nothing. So that's just talking points that somebody concocted one time to just put out there to say. It's just something that sounds cool. There was never any information or anything that came out or anything that leaked or anything that anybody said that would lead you to believe that. Womanizer? Maybe. Maybe he went after other women or something like that. Maybe. But let's talk about the actual nature of the conversation. You just try to say, oh, well, he's a pedophile and just write it off. When you have no information to back that up, there's no substance there. There never has been any substance there. And even of all the crimes that he's ever been accused of in relation to, harassment or whatever, have been with older of age women. So what would ever make you think that? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the problems. And so pointing this out in relation to the Epstein files, people say, oh, well, he's covering up the Epstein files because of this, because of that, to protect these other pedophiles because he's a pedophile. That doesn't make any sense. Not that I ever thought that anybody was going to go to jail from any of the Epstein files regardless, because you look at things like the Panama Papers, okay, or the Pandora Papers, nobody went to jail from any of that. And those were huge, massive treasure troves of financial crimes beyond your wildest imagination. Please go look those up. And everybody around that whole situation, both situations died. They mysteriously were murdered. Okay, like not even like fake died, like had a fake heart attack or something. No, like murdered outright. And go look that up. So when we getting it back to the Epstein files and talking about this nonsense, I appreciate you. Who's that there that said that? I can't see it. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. When we get back to talking about the Epstein files, again, eating babies and drinking their blood. Like, what is going on here? Like, all the rest of that stuff is secondary. Like, we found out that what we've known is really real. And that's not the largest topic of conversation. But on top of that, again, getting back to the financial crimes on that level, because it's such a high level. Like, we're not talking about fraud in Minnesota, right? We're not talking about the person who is skimming food stamps at the corner store. We're talking about serious, large-scale, multi-billion-dollar okay, millionaires transferring all types of money, all types of around, shifting them out of government contracts, shifting them into shady assets, manipulating the political sphere, manipulating government contracts, manipulating world development, right? The different foundations and stuff that were in association with Epstein, like Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Let's not talk about them. The Clinton Foundation. Let's not talk about them. And we can talk about what both of those groups have done to children, but let's just focus on the financial aspect of it, because I got a lot to say about both of those groups. It's just too long. I need 3-hour show to talk about either one of those as individual groups. It's just terrible, tragic. And I'll never forgive the Clintons for what they did to Haiti. Okay. Where are all those missing children, Hillary? What happened to those children? Okay. Ridiculous garbage. But this is what happened, and we can't even talk about it. And now people will say, oh, well, you know, this Iranian thing is a distraction from the Epstein files. It's not. It's not, but there is a timing aspect that we need to look at, but it's not related to those files. It's in relation to the fact that right now we have the digitization and the tokenization of everything going on. And if you're not familiar with digitization and tokenization, think blockchain, think cryptocurrency, okay? What's happening is the government is setting it up so that they can basically anything that you own, whether it's material or physical wealth, whether it is a product or a service, is in a tokenized system in which they can track, monitor, and surveil every transaction that you do. Every purchase that you make, every item that you own will be cataloged and tied directly to you. And that's all being pushed out faster than anything right now. I was just watching, what's his name? Larry Fink from BlackRock talk about how we need to accelerate the tokenization of things the other day. I was listening to the Bloomberg, and Jamie Dimon was like, yeah, this is what's coming. It's already here, and people need to understand what's going on. You know, I think Jamie Dimon is a little more reserved when it comes to that. And he's like, I kind of really don't, I'm not really so much for this, but this is what's happening. So we got to seize on the advantage here, because that's what his job is, right? Plus, he's extremely wealthy. He doesn't, and powerful. He don't care. He cares to a point, right? But these are the serious issues that are facing us. Tokenization and digitization, because it's going to push us directly into a social credit score system similar to that of China, where China is monitoring you at all pace and everything that you do. Don't get online and say something bad about the government. Don't get online and say something the government doesn't like. I'll give you an example. Last week, and I see your comment there, I haven't had a chance to read it. Last week, there was an issue with those Huawei cars. You might know Huawei phones, okay? But these Huawei cars, and they're supposed to be like automated open and close door, right? And so this was caught on camera in China. Like the door would not close. Like the guy was waving his hand and the door would not close, and he had to pull it closed. So then it was posted on the Chinese WeChat, okay? And then it was going all about, and Huawei was like, no, we don't like this. You can't give us bad press, and told the Chinese government, and the Chinese government shut all of that down. They said, you can't be showing this. You can't be making us look bad, you know? And then they'll lock you down. You know, they'll make sure that your social credit score goes down, and your social credit score will determine where you can eat, where you can go to school, where you can live, the people that you marry, and all of this other crazy, insane stuff. But more so than that, the worst thing of it all is they can determine whether you can buy stuff or not. Whether you can buy stuff or not. I need to say that again, maybe a couple more times, so you can clearly understand how serious that is. Could you imagine going to the store and them telling, oh, no, you can't shop here? Oh, yeah. Wait, we don't have to imagine that. We dealt with that during COVID, right? Like, it's all in line to be dropped right into place. So when people say that this is a distraction from that, or that's a distraction from this, all of it is a distraction from this globalization effort of one world government and complete dominance over the people to force us into submission under the government so that we cannot operate outside of the confines of what they desire. This is why they're pushing away from physical currency. This is a very, very serious conversation to have, and not enough people are actually having it. I appreciate you. Who's that? M1 place one, day 2. I appreciate you. Yeah, this is very, very, very important. And with people not having conversations about this and everything accelerating extremely fast, we're going to be caught with our pants down, you guys, and not in a good way either. So this is what we have to really have conversations about. If we're not talking about digitalization and tokenization and all of the rich and wealthy people that control all the money are, that shows you that they're thinking on a different level than what we're thinking on. And we're having a complete disconnect from what's really going on. And that's unfortunate because people don't see that and people don't understand. And because people don't understand that, then what happens, right? They get caught up and it happens all quick and then they can't do anything about it. And that's about where we're at right now. That's why we must stand. We must stand now against this digitalization, against this tokenization, or there will never be another time in the future for us to do anything about it except with massive bloodshed. While I'm on it, buy more ammo, do more arms training, okay? Because it's about to get real serious in the next couple of years. And when you really start connecting the things together that they're pushing with these 15-minute cities, if you're not familiar with 15-minute cities, please go look it up. 15-minute cities are essentially open-air prisons, okay? That's why you see all of this stuff that they call traffic calming or traffic easing, or they tell you, oh, it's to stop traffic accidents and stuff like that. No, it's not. It's to restrict your freedom of mobility, again, forcing you into this system that is strictly from the government, and you have to actually stay and do everything that they can. They don't want you to go whatever a 15-minute walk from your house would be. You've got to wake up. You got to wake up. Then we also have the key in on automation, right? So when we put automation into this whole conversation, you look at it, you say, okay, well, what about the automation? Okay, let me tell you about the automation. With automation, now you're going to have a situation where they don't need people to work. Elon Musk has already said this. Elon Musk went out of his way and said for no reason at all at a press conference a couple months ago, he said, yeah, we won't even need prisons anymore. We'll just have robots that are assigned to you that stop you from doing crime and follow you everywhere. What kind of dystopian futuristic society is that? That's crazy. That's crazy. And people need to understand that this is the direction that we're going in. And again, we've talked about Elon and the PayPal mafia before. None of them are good people, okay? None of them are good people. Elon Musk is Dr. Brain Chip. He wants to put a brain chip in your head to control your emotions and influence your thoughts and stuff like that. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Like, I mean, like, this stuff is real. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Exactly. I'm not with that either. I'm not getting no brain chip. You can, you know, and there's this book that Elon Musk likes. I forget what the name of it was, but it was about some dystopian future where this guy was connected to this greater collective intercommerce ecosystem online type of situation, right? And he got disconnected from it, not like physically disconnected, but in his brain, it was connected through like stuff, like a neural link. And essentially, he got disconnected and he spends like the whole book trying to get reconnected to it. And then the thing is, when he does get it connect, you see how the people are influenced by the thing in their head. Like, this is serious. And this is what this guy wants to do. You know, it's not for your own health. It's not for your own wellness that they're trying to do this. This is very, very important. Then you got biometric surveillance, okay, where they're scanning your face, where they're scanning how you walk, where they're scanning your vocal inflection all the time. How do you think that that's going to feed into this system? They're going to know it's you all the time, everywhere, wherever you go. Okay, iris scans and all of this and all of that. And the computers and the systems are getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and nobody's talking about it because we're distracted by things like going back to the moon. Like, I could give a flying monkey's uncle about the moon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about no moon. It's a serious, serious problem. Somebody said, yeah, it's like the Matrix. That's exactly kind of what it's like, you know, but it's really a collective system, not quite like the Matrix, because you won't be directly plugged into like some hibernation chamber, but it'll be inside your head. And that's a serious, serious issue. And we need to pay attention to what's going on. Somebody says, yeah, I do think he has good intentions, though, but realize how foolish his ideas are. So let's talk about that. Elon Musk, okay, remember, he's the wealthiest man in the world. Okay, he comes from a family of elites. Okay, his family is steeped in German Nazism. Okay, his family's part of the Nationalist Party in South Africa. Okay, very prominent members. Okay, very big funders, family-owned mines and stuff like that. Okay, this dude is nothing more than a new Nazi. Not like these people on the TV try to call people Nazis and stuff like that, but we're talking real deal type stuff, right? Mentality wise. Okay, even though maybe not outwardly in such a way, but mentality. And the mentality of the Nazis, and I'm not talking about the ideology, two completely different conversations, right? The mentality of the Nazis, not the ideology, I'm going to say it again, okay? The mentality of them was strength is right, okay? And they're the best, so they're the ones who get to decide. And that's where we see today in society, these technocrats, okay, largely, a lot of them are from South Africa. Make that make sense, right? Okay, those things seem to add up something fierce. Okay, you've got the PayPal mafia, which is him, Elon Musk, which is what's his name? What you call it? Sachs. I forget his first name. Larry Ellison and the rest of them. Go look them up. The PayPal mafia. All of them are working on integrating themselves into the government. Okay, you've got the what's it called? Palantir and stuff like that. We've talked about them before at length. These are conversations that we need to have because this is real stuff that's going on. Okay. And to disacknowledge it because somebody told you, oh, you should like somebody. It's kind of wild. Somebody said they may involve DNA manipulation through nanobots technology in the future. Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. It's already here. We've got the genetic programming and the genetic bioweapons that they've been using, which is just, it's just so interesting that South Africa has a history of eugenics and bioweapons. We're not going to talk about that, right? Because you can't talk about that. That couldn't possibly be a thing. I'd also like to know whatever happened to South Africa's nukes, okay? Which is a program that we know that they had, that we don't talk about, that it's kind of like it's that open secret. Whatever happened to those nuclear weapons? Where are they? Does South Africa still have them? What happened to that? But anyway, talking about their bio programs and stuff like that. Look at what we saw during COVID. A bioweapon was released, okay? And now you pick which bioweapon, whether it was the shots or whether it was the virus itself, okay? You pick, okay? I'm not going to differentiate because both were horrible bioweapons released on the people and cultivated to sow chaos and destroy our systems, overburdening them so that we have to push further into the new digital system that the government is devising. That's what all of that was. And it was the most largest transfer of wealth in the history of the world that happened during COVID. But we can't talk about any of that. Okay, But again, so he's talking about the nanobots and stuff like that, and genetic manipulation and stuff like that. It's already happening. It's already here. It's here right now. We don't know what those shots did to people, but we know that it destroyed their immune systems, okay? And it's basically gave them autoimmune diseases similar to what AIDS is, okay? Now, not AIDS like you think of sexually transmitted or HIV, because usually when you think of HIV, that's what you're thinking when you're thinking of AIDS. No, I'm talking about immunodeficiency disease, you know? So this is a very important conversation. And the same thing with COVID itself, right? Look at what happened with that. What did it do? It killed off a whole bunch of people and did what? And honestly, it didn't kill off that many people when we think of something killing off a lot of people, but it magically killed off a lot of elderly, you know, the people that are on Social Security and the people that are on Medicaid and stuff like that, and up in their years, you know, the people that these extremely wealthy people consider useless eaters. And now in New York State, we have medically aided induced death, you know, and they say it's compassionate. There's nothing compassionate about it. It's a money grab by the government so that they don't have to pay out pensions, don't have to pay for Medicaid, and that the Social Security system doesn't have to pay out to them either. And until we wake up and call things for what they are, we're going to miss everything. But now it's okay because we're going back to the moon. Like, I could give a flying care about the moon. I do like that black astronaut guy. He's been saying a whole bunch of good stuff. I appreciate that guy a lot. Please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Get it out there. Don't cost you nothing. Drop some comments in the comments. I'll pop them up on the screen. Be part of the conversation and get this out everywhere. Be sure to subscribe and follow, depending on what platform you are. Make sure you take 2 seconds and do that right now. So as we continue this conversation, though, we have a serious situation where we're going back to the moon, except we're not really going back to the moon, but we're going to be the first time we go around the moon. I don't care. I don't care. None of that is important to me. Is that going to change taxes? Is that going to change the cost of food or the quality of living? Like, what is this doing for me? We spent all of these monies on this nonsense, right? Like, it's not even a military mission. If you're not out there creating a moon base so that we can defeat our enemies in outer space, what are we doing? What are we spending? I don't care. That outer space is nothing for me. Outer space, the vast nothingness of space, right? What is on the moon? Helium-2. Okay, they say helium-2 is on the moon and we can build the infrastructure to send that back to Earth to power a whole bunch of things. We got nuclear energy here. We don't need no daggone helium-2. But helium-2 might help if we want to send further space missions and stuff like that. And that's if you even believe that we can get past the Van Allen belt, right? Like, a lot of people don't believe we can get past the Van Allen belt because we can't get past the Van Allen belt. Please go look it up. It's important to the conversation. And these are important conversations that we're not even talking about. Then last year, the year before last, under Biden, they put all of these $500 million into a moon train. We talked about that on the show before when they did that on Length. We talked about that whole thing. But that's crazy. Well, what do I care about a train on the moon? Okay, we barely got the infrastructures for the planes here right on the ground. I don't care about no moon train. I don't care about no moon bases. The military got a big enough budget to do all of that. Let the military do that. We don't need no civilian space agency, you know, that stands for lies and stuff like that. NASA, go look it up. Okay, deception. You know, it's crazy. Like, these are the conversations we need to have. How does this help us? Makes us look good. Who's uniting around this? A couple of people think that it's kind of cool, but it's not like the 1950s or the 60s. We're going to go to the moon and it's going to change the world and we've never done it before. And some people will say, well, that was done on a sound stage and it never really happened. And that's why you can't really find any of the videos of it happening. And when you do see some of them, it looks really cheesy. Hey, man, I'm not here to argue that. I don't care. Okay, because one way or another, there are a couple things that don't matter or impact me at all. Whether the earth is flat or round doesn't impact me. I do not care. Okay, I do not care. I don't waste no energy with that, because if it was flat tomorrow, it'd have been flat yesterday. If it was round tomorrow, it'd have been round yesterday. And really, when people say that the earth is round, that's a misnomer, right? Because it can be flat and round. What they really mean to say is that it's a sphere. But we had Neil deGrasse Tyson get on the TV and say that the earth is not actually a sphere. It's more of shaped like a pear because of gravity and because of the centripetal force. So how is the earth more like a pear than it is like a sphere if all of the science tells us that it's a sphere? That's what they've been trying to tell us, but now Neil deGrasse Tyson is telling us that the earth is really more like a pear. How's that work out? I don't know. Again, doesn't change my life one way or another. I do not really care. These are the important things that are going on right now, right? So what I see is a way to fleece money from the American public for all of these private works projects that nobody knows where the money is going. Remember before September 11th, okay, what was it, 2001, I think it was, 2001, September 11th. The day before that, what was his name? Donald Rumsfeld got on the TV, said the military is missing like $4 trillion or something, and then the towers came down the next day and all the gold went missing in the towers and the whole world was forever changed after that. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. So, I mean, the military's got more than enough money to do whatever inner space, outer space, play in space, in the atmosphere type of nonsense that they need. We don't need NASA to do any of that. There's other things that NASA kind of does, but I really feel like we can put most of that to NOAA or what's the other one? There's like another oceanic agency that does something similar with the atmosphere that's kind of like NOAA. We don't really need NASA. So we got the military for, which NASA used to be part of the military anyway. So that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so they try to press it up like that's the most important thing in the world right now. These people are going to slingshot around the moon. I guess if they're going around the moon, that might be worth something as far as spying goes, because China allegedly put, what do you call them? Landers on the moon, on the far side of the moon where we can't see them, which you should some point ask yourself, how come the moon doesn't rotate? The moon doesn't rotate. If you weren't aware, it does a thing called librotation where it only wobbles back and forth up to 15 degrees. Yeah, so all the other celestial bodies rotate completely, but the moon doesn't. All the other moons in the solar system rotate, but our moon doesn't. How's that work? Science. Make it make sense. So these are important conversations, but we don't really have them. Let's jump into a couple of other things, because there's some other things that I really want to go back into. Jamie Dimon again, talking about Jamie Dimon again, the money people, right? Jamie Dimon said that the Iran war could bring a bad concept of the Republican Party to the rest of the country. And I agree. I think that is very concerning right now. But honestly, again, Israel's been blowing up everybody that we have negotiations with. So whose side are they really on? They're on their side of themselves. It's not helping us. So right now we're stuck in this conflict, which is ridiculous. Trump said on Sunday, I see your comment, I'll pop it up. Trump said on Sunday, you got 48 hours or I'm going to blow you back to the Stone Age. And I'm paraphrasing very nicely because I'm on the radio. He said some other words and they were less kind, But he said, yeah, we're going to blow up all your power plants and everything if you don't come to the table. I don't know, you guys. One, I'm for it, you know what I'm saying, if it's a necessity. But two, how is this helping? Who is this helping? Who benefits, right? This is my question. And how can we benefit better? That's what I want to see. That's what I want to know. Because with gas prices going up like they are right before the midterm elections, if stuff doesn't get situated by we don't even really have, we got till about the end of this month really for something to change, and that's about it, because people are going to be really mad. come midterms, people are either going to vote or not vote, because this type of stuff is very important. Let's see, somebody comment down here. Let's see what we got here. We need to drop the mother of all bombs. Somebody said we need to drop the mother of all bombs on the Iranian power grid. That's the Moab bomb. I love it. It's a fuel air bomb. Okay. It's a really, really powerful bomb. And Renee says that it's probably likely to happen. Yep. Probably going to sound really out there, but what does it say? But where does everybody think, in their opinion, these missing people are going? Don't even get me started. Which missing people, right? Which missing people? That's a whole nother conversation. Renee, if you just got here, we kind of talked about how these people are cannibalizing the people and draining their blood earlier in the show. So yeah, you might want to check that out later. So yeah, we were really were talking about that, and we'll get back into that later. We talk about that every now and then. There was somebody else had a comment. I missed it. I don't know where it went, you guys. I'm sorry. But as we continue to have these conversations, like, why are they trying to have us focus on the moon? Like, who cares? Who cares? Is that going to affect the price of tea in China? These are the conversations, right? Like, that doesn't do nothing for me. I don't know, you guys. To me, again, it's all for distraction to push us away from focusing on the fact that what's happening is they're pushing us to digitalization and tokenization of all of the assets. Property, gold, silver, currency is all being pushed digital currency. So these are serious problems. And we need to wake up, and we need to start talking about them, and we need to start addressing them now, immediately. To top it off, and we're going to cap this part off with Iran pretty much right now. To cap this off with Iran, Iran has its whole own positioning and stuff over there with their ability to control oil, to control economics, and they're like their own special corridor for transit of goods. So it's a very, very important that we get Iran to come to the table, because they were already in China's pocket. China had a whole bunch of different public works projects going on over there, a canal, a railway connected to the canal, all of this stuff trying to push goods into Europe to make Europe more dependent on China. So we need to be in control of that somehow. I don't know how. Last time we tried to put somebody in charge of Iran, it didn't work out so well. So praise be that it works out better this time. But this is nothing that anybody's having a conversation about, because everybody's either, oh, I hate Trump, or oh, I disagree with the war. I don't care who you hate or what you disagree with. The fact is, we are there now, and we need to address it as if we are there. You can't just pull out, right? No commitment. Like, this is what happened in Vietnam, and how'd that turn out for us? Bad, right? And I'm not talking about it turned out bad for us for the people that lost lives and stuff like that. I'm talking about the fall of Saigon. I'm talking about China expanding its power and territory into the area. And then that was a grave setback for the United States for decades. We're just now honestly, we haven't even recovered from that really, but we're just now really starting to recover from it a little bit. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to what's going on. Drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. Now, I do want to talk about a couple of things that are not really being covered in the news anymore, and they kind of just seem to kind of fade away. I'd like to know what happened with all of the voting data from Georgia, right? Like, where did that go? Whatever happened with that? Somebody else put a comment. Whatever happened with that voter data? What happened with the voting data from California, okay, that they collected? What happened with that? What happened with the Maricopa County data? Like, is something happening there? Is somebody ever going to go to jail? Somebody go to jail sometime, somewhere in the future? Like, these are problems that I have with what's going on here. Somebody says, who's this? Youssef says, because the Iranian regime is a bunch of religious fanatics and terrorists, pretty much a menace to Christians, Jews, and even Sunni Muslims aren't safe. Yeah, they're pretty bad. But anyway, back to the voting stuff. Okay, whatever happened to these collections of these ballots? What is the investigation ongoing? How long does it take you to count? Where are the indictments? Who's going to prison? Somebody needs to go somewhere. Like, you can't tell me that in Maricopa County, okay, those ballots weren't all jacked up. We know they were. Katie Hobbs said it herself, okay? Katie Hobbs is this evil governor, okay? She's like, used to be the Secretary of State. Just a whole bunch of salacious, crazy nonsense that happened with that election. We're not even going to talk about it. But Katie Hobbs said it herself. Like, we're not being real, okay? What about the data in Fulton County for this stuff there? I did hear that one of the judges said, oh, they got to give that back. Why they got to give it back? What authority do you have to tell them that they got to give it back? Stop it. Overstepping your authority. But that's what we got. A lot of activist judges thinking that they can do stuff that's above their pay grade, right? Because they can do whatever they want, because they've done whatever they want under Biden, and Supreme Court justices are either in there for 10 years or for life. I think he's one of those ones that's in there for like 10 years. But these leftist, crazy leftist judges that are self-righteous and radical, it's a problem. It's a very serious problem, and we need to have a conversation about it. I want somebody to go to prison for all of these stolen elections. Somebody, anybody, you know what I'm saying? Give me something, a bone for my dog, a bed that's been slept in. Somebody got to go. Something's got to happen. Somebody says Fulton County in Georgia is known for corruption. It is. So is Maricopa County. So what's happening? What's being done? Who's going to prison? When is something going to happen? Right? It's like that meme online. We see massive fraud. We see all of the bad things that are happening. You know, Republicans do nothing. It happens again. Republicans do nothing. And it repeats. It's a cycle. It repeats. We see it. We find out. The Republicans do nothing, and nothing ever happens. Nobody goes to prison. What is going on? What is going on? So if people aren't going to prison for that, you guys, how could you ever expect anybody to go to prison for any of the stuff in the Epstein files? Make it make sense. And then they'll be like, oh, well, you should be patient and you should hold out hope. Man, the only person I put my hope on isn't even a person. It is the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's it. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, you should be hope for what? I live in America. I'm American through and through. I love my country more than anything, but you're not about to sit here and play in my face and tell me that the American government is about to put these people in jail and nobody's ever going to jail. What happened with the January 6th stuff? Nancy Pelosi's still running free. Okay? She need to be in prison. Okay? For her and what's the weird guy? What's his name? Bald head in the middle of his head. Talks funny. Is a Democrat. What's that guy's name? Oh, I can see his face. I forget his name. Anyway, him and Nancy Pelosi, they both need to be in prison because of what they did with the January 6th commission. Why did you delete all of the files? Why did you delete all of the recordings? Why did you delete all of the videos from the January 6th investigation? Why would you do that? And then they said, oh, well, we weren't required to hold on to them. Prison. Prison immediately. No line, no waiting, treason. What? Nonsense. But that's what happened. What happened in Congress and stuff like that is exactly what happened when in the first Trump administration, we ran down on that spy ring that was at the Chinese embassy in Dallas, Texas. When we got there, they were setting stuff on fire, shredding documents, putting the whole building on fire and everything. That's what happened when the Republicans got back into power in Congress. Okay, but still since then, what have the Republicans done? And I'm a staunch Republican, you know, but when they're not standing on business, I can't be with that. What is going on? Why is nobody going to jail? Why are no bills being passed? You know, where are our Second Amendment right bills? Where is that? We got constitutional reciprocity carry is out there in committee. That's not on the floor. That's not voted on. What's up with that? We got all of these Supreme Court decisions that have struck down all of these ridiculous different things in California and in New York in relation to the Second Amendment. But what's happening with that? Nothing. Nothing's happening with that. Is the DOJ going after New York State and California for that? No. I'm glad that Bondi is gone. I'm glad that she's fired. I didn't want her to begin with. I wanted Matt Gaetz. I never wanted her to begin with. She's trash. She's the reason why they have red flag laws in Florida right now. I don't mess with her, not even a little bit, man. Okay, so people are like, oh, well, look at Trump is firing her, this, that, and the third. I don't care. I never liked her to begin with. I never wanted her to begin with. Okay, I'm glad she's gone. I'm celebrating. I'm just hoping that the next person gets in there that's better, you know? And I don't care if the Dow's over 50,000. But for real, she hasn't put anybody in jail that I can see. You know, not for any of these high salacious issues or anything. Who is being prosecuted? Where are the grand juries? What is going on here? And then people want to tell me, oh, well, military tribunals, this. Where? Give me something. Somebody, public executions, what's going on? Show me something. I need heads on pikes. Something, live televised recording. You know what I'm saying? Stop it. Stop playing in my face, man. Nothing's happening. None of these people are going to jail. Nothing's being done. And now all of a sudden, with all of these European countries, because now I got a couple minutes, I'm going to talk some trash about these people because I can't stand them. Okay. Trump was like, oh, you guys should help us secure the Strait of Hormuz. And they're like, no, go jack yourself. You know, and then they've got China. We're like, oh, China, you get most of your oil from there. You should help us secure it. China's like, no, go jack yourself. Okay. So we said, go jack yourself back to them. Okay. Now all of a sudden, Europe's like, oh, well, we should secure the Strait of Hormuz. We should send some troops over there and stuff like that. Oh, but when the U.S. was like, you should come help and do that, you were nowhere to be found. Useless. Useless. NATO is useless. Okay, we need to pull out of NATO. NATO has been useless. It's always been a globalization push. It's never been useful for us, you know. And what do we get out of it? Nothing. People poking us in the eye and spitting at us all the time. The U.S. didn't get anything out of NATO. Everything that we benefited from NATO, the bases, you know, like NATO's got like its own army, right? Like its own army. Like, NATO is like the UN. I can't stand no blue hats, bro. Can't stand no blue hats. Okay? Well, what are we even doing? Our NATO allies. NATO allies for what, bro? From who? Russia? Like, if you go back and you look into the history of NATO, NATO was supposed to be protect from Russia. Ain't nobody scared of no Russia. Ain't nobody scared of the expansion of communism from the USSR. You know why? Because communism is already in Europe. What are we doing? The United Soviet States of Russia, right? The United Socialist Soviet States of Russia, or vice versa. I might flip those two S's around, right? But they're all socialists in Europe right now. So clearly NATO has failed. NATO has failed. The socialists have taken over all of Europe. The Nazis won, the communists won, they have taken over Europe, and now they've got the EU, which is leaning hard on countries like Georgia and Hungary, and I forget the other one, it's in my head, it's slipping my mind right now, Moldova, okay, and Croatia, and all these other places where they've been having very interesting things where they've been pushing people like George Soros's Open Society and these other weird groups that have been working to flip the governments over there because the governments are more conservative and want to align more with Russia because Russia's got more to offer them than Europe. But Europe is bullying them and overthrowing their government through color revolutions, just like the socialists, just like the communists, okay? And then we supposed to be scared of Russia? An Orthodox Christian nation? Now, at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, I'm American through and through, right? So Russia is still, to me, Russia enemy, right? Like, cuz Cold War, right? Even though I was born after the Cold War, but you know, in the head, in the minds of America, of everything, the Russians have always been the bad guys. But that's not how that actually worked. After the Cold War, everything changed, and then Putin got in there, and then he was a very strong man leader and really rehabilitated Russia after the fall of communism, you know, and turned it into a Orthodox nation once again for Christ. Okay, it doesn't make him a great guy because he's not. He's a spy since been a spy since been a spy. He's been killing. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, what do we got to fear from Russia? Why should we as Americans be afraid or concerned from Russia? Nothing, because China's kicking them in their behind every single day. Ain't nobody scared of Russia. If Russia got to do anything, they got to combat with China. Russia could never even come after us because they'd lose half of their landmass to China in the first couple of weeks. Stop it. China already claims parts of Russia. Historically, it's been ours. That's what they like to say about everything. Lies. China's a big liar. Okay, but that's a whole separate conversation. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Drop some American flags in the comments because those help a lot. Kick the algorithm, get it out to more people. Drop some comments, be part of the conversation. I'll try to pop you up on the screen. Now, as we have and share this conversation, what has NATO ever done for the United States of America? If you have an idea of what they've done for us that we should be so happy about, please drop it in the comments. I'll pop it up on the screen. I'd like to have that conversation. But the fact of the matter is that they haven't done anything for us except drain our resources to help support themselves in their own personal programs in their own countries so that they have to spend less on military. It's ridiculous. Now Germany's talking about, oh, we're going to rebuild the strongest military in all of Europe. Yeah, no, I do not trust you, Germany. You are not trustworthy because whenever you've done that, you've always gone out and attacked other people. Okay, and I really don't like the weird moves that Germany's been putting on. And I'm not even talking about the AfD over there, okay, which is it's like nationalist weird party. It's kind of better than what's in there now because they're less globalist. But I don't know. I got questions and concerns there too. I got very serious questions and concerns because I think they're going to end up getting co-opted if they continue forward, but I think that they're only going to get co-opted because the people that are in power want them to be co-opted because they've been arresting their leaders and trying to push them further and further out of society, even though they are a popular party that won a lot of seats in the last election. Like, we can't even talk about that. Like, but they've been silencing them. They've been doing everything that they can. So it's no wonder that they want to become more and more extreme. This is a serious conversation. In Germany, Angela Merkel now, even though she's not in power, you got her and Ursula von der Leyen. I butchered her name. I can see her face. I forget how to name her her actual name. Ursula von der, whatever her last name is. Can't stand her. Okay, these people running in the EU, in the European Union, and their whole parliament that they have for the European Union is terrible. It's terrible. However, the other day, the European Union did vote to begrudged by a lot of globalists. They did vote to get rid of a lot of these illegal aliens that they have over there. Technically, I guess they are just aliens. They're not illegal over there based on the way their laws are over there, but they're going to build detention centers and stuff and try to push them out of Europe. So that's cool. You know, that's something. But it's also something that is worth a larger conversation because we don't talk a lot about what's going on the world scale. A lot of conversations and stuff that we have in the US are extremely limited in focus, limited in angle, okay? And you can't really see much outside of the limited window that they're allowing you to look at them. It's like when they send those pictures back from outer space and it's this real circular limited view and you can't really see anything and you're like, how do I even really know what I'm looking at? You know, you kind of got to piece it together yourself. Like, space is so huge and I can only see this little bit. That don't seem right. Because that's all that they want you to look at. But when we have that conversation, nobody wants to really talk about international affairs or geopolitics. And when you try to bring up geopolitics or actual stuff in relation to it, people get mad and frumpy and then try to be like, oh, well, Trump this, Trump that. What are you even doing? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Trump this and Trump that. There is so much other things going on right now to talk about. And again, it all goes back to the push for digitalization of all of our assets and to this. You can call it what you want. You can call it globalization. You can call it the New World Order. You can call it whatever, the elites taking over, whatever you want to. But this digitalization and this tokenization is the biggest issue that we should all be talking about. That and the biometric surveillance. Everything else is secondary. Okay? I'm happy that some of this fraud is getting dealt with in different parts of the government. Now we've got, what's his name? The JD Vance is the fraud czar or whatever. And I need people to go to prison, bro. Somebody got to go to prison. People got to go to prison and be deported. Can we start back with executions? Like, what's going on here? Like, nobody is being brought to justice. The American people are still suffering, and none of that money is ever going to be recovered. So what are we doing? And it's so frustrating because we see what's going on in other places in the world, and we're like, oh, yeah, these things are kind of problematic. But look at all of the surveillance and stuff that's going on here. Right here in our home, in our nation that we love so much. And that's another thing. All of these people in this country that hate our country so much, they need to be removed or executed. One of the two. Okay? That's it. For treason, right? Because if you're out here in the street and you're telling me that your whole goal is to destabilize our government, is to overthrow our government for Islam or for Palestine or for Iran or for all of these foreign interests, you are a traitor to our nation. You're telling me openly that you're committing open treason and you need to be dealt with accordingly. But people don't want to have that conversation. These people need to be gone, the done. Okay? Jail right away, you know? And people say, oh, well, it's freedom of speech. Yeah, no, there's nothing about freedom of speech is freedom from repercussions of what you said. You said you're working on overthrowing our government for a foreign interest. For a foreign interest. Not even for the best interest of the American people. For a foreign interest. That is a serious, serious no-no. And we need to actually do something about these people. But nobody ever wants to have those conversations. And I wanted to really dig into some stuff that's going on in Africa right now with the minerals. We just, as the United States, had a company secure a whole bunch of more minerals in the Congo right now. So that's going through. We bought one of their companies. So that's going to be a big boom for the U.S. and mineral rights and stuff like that. I really hope we do secure Greenland by the end of the year. That would be awesome. I know people are like this, that, and the third. And we do have what's going on in Canada with Alberta planning to push for its own independence this fall. So we'll see how that goes out. But I'll catch you guys later. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe, drop some comments, share it everywhere, get it out there. And if you're on the radio, thank you for tuning into The Divide on WRFZ 106.3. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here Tuesday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. We'll catch you next week. Be blessed and be well. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I appreciate you guys. Please share this out. Subscribe to my channel. And let's have more of these important conversations. We are bringing back the Elephant in the Room show this coming up week. Well, not this week, but this coming up month, later in the month. So look forward to that. So if you're not subscribed or you're not following right now, definitely do that, because the Elephant in the Room is coming back and we're going to have more interviews with more great people. So that's going to be awesome. Catch you guys later. Be blessed and be well. If you're not on my YouTube right now, please go to my YouTube. It's the Marcus C. Williams channel and subscribe. You could also search The Divide with Marcus C. Williams and you'll find it that way. Make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later. Be blessed.